right, guys. Today, we're going to be calling this the first test spin of the Turbo LS Chevelle build. Actually, it's not the first test spin. I've been driving it for a couple weeks now, and I probably have 100 miles on it, so this isn't really the first test spin. Let me talk about that for a second. So first of all, I'm going to mention it in another video. I am in the process of moving. So we bought another house, and it's been crazy here. Leading up to moving and buying a house and whatnot, this was in pieces, and I don't even think the engine was in. And I'm like, dude, this garage is littered with car parts, and it's going to be a pain to move. So I decided to just thrash and get it together, a lot of it off camera. Okay, so I apologize for that. There's probably 5 videos that I could have done leading up to this video. However, I needed to get cranking on it because I didn't want to tow it, and I didn't want to trailer a bunch of parts over to the garage, and that garage is not set up for working yet. I thrashed. I wanted to get it drivable and most of the parts in here, and you know, it's nowhere near complete, but it's drivable now. So that's why we're here at this video today. But why I didn't do it on the first actual test spin is, well, my GoPro was dead. My phone wouldn't hook up to it. You know, my daughter uses it, so that's why I didn't get the footage. And I was just too damn excited to get it going. So here's how the first test spin went. So got in it, drove around the block once or twice, and then came back to check things out. And it was running pretty good, but it was actually running a little rough. And then I look under the hood, and one of the coils was completely disconnected, the connector. And the reason being is I ran some wires under it and whatnot, and I forgot to plug it in. So it was only running on 7 cylinders. I plugged that guy in, went back out, and it was obviously pretty dang smooth. Everything was working great, no leaks. And then one thing I want to mention is I went with Hydro Boost, and I attached my pedal rod, or the rod, to the top hole, which is the manual hole. The brakes were way too sensitive. I mean, you tap it 1/16 of an inch and your face is in the windshield. It was just way too sensitive. So I lowered it to the power hole, which is lower. It decreases leverage, and it's a lot better. It's still really sensitive. The brakes work awesome. I mean, 1/8 inch pedal movement, and it's fully stopped. I mean, it's crazy how good these brakes are with the Hydro Boost. So that was that. Everything else works great. Now, I want to talk about the tune really quick. This is turbocharged. It's my first turbo car, turbo anything. It's my first EFI deal. So, you know, obviously I ran the Wizard for a bass tune, and then I took it to my PC and I fully redid the tune. But this is what it is: 18 degrees of timing at idle, 20 degrees of total timing, naturally aspirated, you know, at 0 vacuum or whatever. And then I have 17 degrees of timing, 16 degrees of timing at 3 or 4 pounds of boost. So that is a very conservative timing map right now. And then I have about 38 degrees timing at cruise. So that's kind of how the timing is configured right now. And it's all super conservative so I don't hurt it, right? Boost, I got this just on wastegate spring. It's 3-4 pounds of boost. As far as air fuel ratio, I got 13.8 at idle, like 14.7 at cruise or whatever, and I can even probably go a little leaner. It's not complaining about it. And then wide open throttle, naturally aspirated, it's 12.5, and then in boost, it's 11.5 air fuel ratio. So that is all super conservative as well. Pulling the plugs shows that they are not burning too hot yet, so that means I can add more timing, maybe lean it out a little bit, combination of both or whatever, or leave it rich and just keep adding timing and boost or whatever. So that's all, you know, obviously we need to get this thing back together. I'll do a walk around and we'll see what's not connected. But I'm going to leave it at this, and we're just going to drive it for the summer. You know, I got to move and get all set up. So this is where it's going to sit for a few months as is, and I'm just going to enjoy it like this. We'll do a walk around. We'll do a test spin, and then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, so here we are under the hood. Let's see, what did we do here? So as far as the lines, I'm just on wastegate spring, and that's it. No solenoids yet, controlled by the computer for boost or any of that. That's later on. Over here, I got my ethanol sensor. It's all hooked up, but I don't have it configured, or it's not wired up to the ECU as far as I/O. It's wired up otherwise and plumbed. I'm not getting into that until later on. I put a TurboGuard filter on there. Let's see what else. Oh, one thing I want to mention is this is the air-to-water intercooler. However, no hoses or water is running through it. So basically, I don't have any water. I don't have the water portion of it hooked up, okay? I just, again, bare bones to get this thing on the road here. So I mounted the water pump there, okay? My water tank that I TIG welded is going to go over here, and I have not mounted the heat exchanger yet, okay? I felt that, with low boost, low timing, I don't need that hooked up to drive it, okay? So, I mean, I'm strapped for time here, guys, to move and everything. So that's not hooked up. However, the air temps do not get over 140, the intake air temps. So hopefully I can do better as I get this all hooked up, okay? Here's all the wiring. Check that out. That's obviously temporary right now. It's all just taped up and whatnot. I have no headlights hooked up, no front turn signals. That's all right here. So I just kind of just taped that up. Hey, I don't need it. The wiring's a freaking mess. I kind of just Velcroed everything in place for now. And that's that. So there's no front engine harness. I need to build that for the headlights, for solenoids over here and whatnot. So that's that. As far as the Hydro Boost, man, this thing turned out great. I made and designed those brackets myself. And then I got a CPP brand hydraulic hose kit that you cut to length and whatnot, and it worked out great, except I had to buy a 45-degree fitting there. It worked out great. So they're up high on the fender. I'll put some clamps there eventually and whatnot, and that turned out great. So that's under the hood. And then check out the fan wiring. So I need to put, the harness wrap on there and make it look all clean, but I ran the wires in, and the PWM controller is sandwiched, or it's attached on the inside of the shroud of the fan unit. So it's underneath there. Can't even see it. And then I have, and then what I have here is these are the wires that lead to the bus bar, and I hid it under the fender. And of course, I'll put clamps here to tidy it up, but that's that. Works freaking mint. I'm really happy with it. No heater core hooked up yet. The blower motor is not hooked up yet. Don't need it. Again, bare bones. And then over here, the radiator thingy, I need to paint. It's been blasted. Got to paint that. So all little details. Okay, in the car, I didn't do any sound deadening yet, like Dynamat. I didn't put the carpet in yet. The carpet probably won't work. But all the seats and interiors in, I've been cruising around with my kids, going to car shows and whatnot. So that's that. But let me jump in here. So that's all that. One thing I did early on is I figured out and welded in the brackets for the center console, and the top plate there that's missing, I will be able to use the stock stick shift top plate. It's actually right here. Now, the stick fits right through there. I wanted a stock look. However, I need to build my own shift boot. I got some pleather, and I will be building and sewing up my own boot in the future, and I got to make some brackets and whatnot. So I already started 3D printing like a trim ring. So I'm just trying to get the shape of this. You can see I'm just trying to get the size, and I'm going to build some mounts, glue them on, and then it'll be an FDM 3D printed part that holds the pleather boot in there. Again, I don't need to do that yet. So let's get back in the car over here. All right, so in the car, I just put the ECU right here for now, and I didn't put the dash pad on because I don't know where the ECU is going to go. I'm probably going to put it in the glove box, and if there's room, maybe there's room behind the dash. I don't know. And then you can just see it's a wiring mess over here. So whatever for now. Let's talk about the console really quick. So I decided to go with the chrome Hearst stick. I think that just looks correct for this car. A white knob. And then I had to machine a spacer here. I think this is 1/2 inch, because you can see how this stick, when you go to the left and to the right, and it goes over further. It's just that the reverse solenoid is not activated right now. So you can see that it's centered here. So when you put that trim ring on, it clears everything. So I figured that all out. I 3D, see this red stuff? I 3D printed some spacers. So the brackets work. I welded this on there. Again, there's 3D printed parts there, and then, you know, there's some allergy relief medication there. Freaking allergies are killing me. So anyway, I got brackets in there. One thing that didn't turn out perfect is I got a lot of space here, and then I don't have any on this seat. So I don't know what happened. I mean, this thing is freaking centered. So that's the only thing that I didn't account for. But anyway, this looks great. And then, you know, the stick is in a good spot for me right here. I 3D printed a bracket, and I put the little, oh, this thing's unsticking. So I just 3D printed that bracket, and that's where the little hand screen is, the 3.5 inch screen for the Holly. But that's it for the interior, man. I mean, you know, it works. It works for now. You know, maybe I'll get some little pieces of carpet and put it down for now, but you know, this is how it is for the next few months. And then, you know, this is a stick car, but I don't have a parking brake hooked up yet. So these are Corvette brakes, and there is a parking brake in the hat of the rotor. I need to buy all the parts for that from Core 3, and then obviously run all the cabling to get that parking brake to work. But what I've been doing is I just bought these wheel chocks, and you know, I chock it everywhere I go. Yeah, I leave the car in gear, but you know, I don't want the thing freaking rolling away, so I'm a little cautious about that, and I got some chocks here. All right, in the trunk, you can see I didn't even cut the freaking zip ties yet. The battery box is not done. The wiring back here needs to be trimmed and cleaned up, and you can see I even have like Wago connectors right now, and all the wiring's just kind of, well, you know, it's not complete. It's functional, and it's just there, and I will trim this, and I'm going to put a little fuse block back here near the battery, and I'm going to clean this all up. But hey, for now, it's the way it is, man. All right, so this thing, it runs great considering it's a bass tune, and I just tweaked it a little bit, and I have, pretty much zero experience tuning. However, here are some things I want to point out. The clutch, this is a twin disc clutch. The pedal effort's a little high, and it's kind of like an on-off switch. It's not really, there's no really modulation in the clutch pedal, and I kind of knew that going into it because I went with a bigger bore master cylinder. So stock, it's 3/4, like on an F-body Camaro. I went with a 7/8, so it's a higher pedal effort. However, it moves more fluid, so that means there's a shorter window for on-off or engage, disengage. So I could buy the 3/4 master. It's like $60. I can slap it in there and see if I like that better. Or I could just get used to it. I mean, it's just kind of a little touchy, okay, for the street. And I'm not used to driving a stick car. My last stick car I didn't have since the 90s, right? So maybe I'll just leave it, but that's my observation and what I could do about it if it bothers me. Overall, it runs great. It does sound a little flat up top, and that's because, it's low timing, rich air fuel. It's just kind of, So, I mean, as I work on the tune, I think it'll get snappier and it'll come to life. Obviously, we'll add a lot more boost, but not just yet. Some other tuning, I noticed that when it's hot and you go to start it, it kind of stumbles a little bit and then it fires up. So I need to mess with the starting. But overall, it's pretty dang good out of the box. I haven't messed with any of that. And another reason is I don't have a laptop dedicated for tuning in this car. I mean, my wife has a laptop, but she uses it for school, and I don't want to get into that. So I need to find like a $300, $400 laptop and dedicate it just as a tuning laptop, because right now I am pulling the SD card out, running inside, doing some tweaks, and loading it back in. And that's kind of a pain in the butt, and I can't do any real-time tuning. With the laptop, I can have it hooked up and tune as the freaking car is running. So that's going to make it a lot easier, but for now, it's fine. So overall, I'm just super happy with how everything worked out. I mean, the 6-speed transmission is awesome. It's backed up with a 373 posi rear end, so I get good acceleration, and then I throw it in 5th or 6th, and cruising around town, I can be at 1,200 to 1,700 RPM, depending if I'm 5th or 6th gear. It's crazy. I could just lug this thing well under 2,000 RPM. It's happy around 14 to 1,800 RPM with this cam and everything. It'll cruise at that RPM, and it's just awesome. Something else that I never talked about is how I'm controlling these fans is with a PWM fan controller, so I'm not burning any I/O from the ECU or any switches or anything like that. So there's a little, it's distributed by Northern Radiator, but VaporWorks, who I also used for my fuel system, PWM, is they designed it and manufacture it and whatever. But dude, the thing is like this big, costs under $200. It's good for 40 amps. It can run multiple fans. These are they're brushed fans. They're the Windstar fans, and basically you stick on a little sticker on your radiator. It monitors the radiator temp, and it kicks the fans on like 8 degrees above the opening of the thermostat. So it runs at like 195. It's very rock solid, consistent, and the fans barely spin. So that means my cooling system is pretty efficient. I mean, I got a big radiator, and if it's idling here, I mean, the fans are working at like 10% duty cycle or whatever. I could tell they're just like barely spinning. They're just moving a little bit of air. And what's nice about that is you don't have a relay to kick on and then the fans are blasting. So that PWM controller is compact, the wiring is simple, and it's just a little more than relays, and you don't burn up ECU I/O. So it's freaking awesome, dude. So check that out. I'll leave a link in the description in the upper right. So overall, everything works great, no leaks. I can drive it as is We're going to leave it like this for a month or 2 or 3 till I get set up at the new house and I get a laptop and whatnot. And we'll be adding boost as we go and as I get more comfortable with everything. So that's it for this video. Let me know what you think and comment below.